What up, film fans? Happy Monday, moviegoers. Welcome to episode 409. Welcome to the Deer Hunter. You're listening to another new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Juan. I am joined by cast, the crew, the other Deer Hunter, Zach.
It would be helpful if I was unmuted, but how's everyone doing out there in movie land?
Movie land, welcome. Happy to join you guys. Happy for you to join us for another new episode. It's always a highlight of the week when we can hang out, sit down, and talk movies with you. And that's the glorious thing about podcasting, Zach, is no matter how crappy the 6 days have been, the seventh day
It's always
of
better.
the day that we do the podcast is always top notch.
Hey man, it's like what? Let's just have a moment of like realism for a second. We always come up here and say, it's always good to talk about movies with you. It really is. I mean, it's if you're having a bad week, if life's not going your way, just come on here for 45 minutes to an hour. Just talk about someone else's nightmare or a good film. Last week we talked about The Odyssey, had a fantastic conversation, and we're going to do it again today with The Deer Hunter.
So if you guys have not listened to last week's episode, like Zach said, it is all about The Odyssey. Go check that out last week. It was a fun conversation. Listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts at. If you want to know where some of our links are, just hit us up on the social media pages, facebook.com/The Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The Instagram is all one word, /The Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The X at Cine-Men405, or you can send us a good old-fashioned email at cinemen921@gmail.com. There you can find all of our links, past, future episodes, and current. And Zach, man, how has the week been? Let's get into the first segment of the day, of the evening. And I'm not here. I wasn't going to be a Debbie Downer, but Zach, I'm tired of this weather.
We live in Oklahoma, right? We don't live on the surface of the sun. I mean, do I want to get that correct? Our geographical coordinates are correct. We're here in Oklahoma City, not on, 2 miles east into the solar sun that we live, like the weather is outside right now.
Yeah, we got Middle East weather.
Ugh. And the worst thing about it is like the minute you walk in the sun, it just feels like your skin is burning. Like it's just that hot.
But I'm hoping, this is the last episode of July. We got
August. August is pretty hot.
August is pretty hot, but they're talking about the middle of August could bring us some cooler weather. So anything is better than what we've had now. It's hot when the zoo closes early this week.
Yeah, when the cheetahs need a break, that's when it's hot. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And they're used to this weather.
Yeah. If you guys want to check us out, we always do recent watches and recommendations. This is the last week. I don't mean to sound like a Debbie Downer, but this is the last week of recent watches and recommendations, and this is the last week of the top 5, unless we dedicate an entire episode of the top 5. The end of one segment or the end of 2 segments and the start of a new segment in a few weeks.
Remind the audience real quick of what we're going to be doing moving forward for the next couple months.
So after Spider-Man, next week we just talk Spider-Man. That's it. We go home. But after next week, we are talking, we're talking classic movies. Cine-Men classic movies is what the new segment will be starting week 2 of September when we talk physical media. And the rule is it just has to be 1994 and older. We're still going to have a main segment subject matter. Like if we were to do it this week, we would talk The Deer Hunter in the last part of the episode, and in the beginning of the episode, we would talk whatever classic movie that we randomly watched that week. And it's really just to get more eyes on classic movies. So it could be like The Godfather. It could be like Rebecca. It could be like The Deer Hunter. It could be like To Catch a Thief, Rear Window. It doesn't matter as long as it's 1994 and older. That's what the new segment's going to be starting week 2 of August, which is when we talk physical media part 2.
Yeah, and then another rule I think we both established is we won't announce what the movie's going to be. It'll just be kind of like a surprise of what we're going to talk about. Like we've kind of picked 3 movies already for the month of August, but if we talk about, like, if you watch Rear Window or To Catch a Thief or Chinatown or whatever it is, we could definitely talk about that as well.
Yeah. So, but we're still working out some kinks. It's a new segment that's going to start 2 weeks from today. Next week, like I said, we're just hanging out and talking Spider-Man and doing some fantasy booking on Doomsday. So no segments next week. But yeah, today's the last day of recent watches and the top 5. So Zach, you want to go first on recent watches?
Yeah, and I feel kind of sad that I'm going out on a whimper. Man, the only thing, I mean, the Deer Hunter, I started Spider-Man No Way Home to get ready for Brand New Day for next week. And I guess today, I did go check out a 70 millimeter showing of The Odyssey at our local AMC Quell. Small rant of the day.
Okay.
The movie was supposed to start at 12:30. 30 minutes later, it started, and that took up my whole afternoon. Like, the movie was literally done at 4:00.
So,
and it was I thought I know, we kind of talked about it on last week's episode. I thought my viewing of the 70 millimeter was like clear, like crisp clear. It was like very.
Oh no. Yeah. Oh no, it's clear, but it's not as bright as it should be.
My showing was pretty bright. I don't know, I don't know if it was just the theater you were in or whatever, but
you were in theater 12, right?
Yeah, theater 12.
Yeah, no, it was way brighter than that with the Oppenheimer.
That's interesting because I mean, when the Universal logo came on, I was like, wow, this is like they got the contrast on this like up to 1080 or whatever.
Yeah, no, imagine what you saw, but it's like Oppenheimer was way better. So,
but no, go check out our thoughts on the Odyssey. I like it more the second time. I noticed a lot more stuff. There are even things that like I really. I joke. I was about to text you, say, "Hey, we need to do a part 2 of the Odyssey when it hits Blu-ray because there's just we could do another hour on that and still not catch everything."
We could. I'm sure it's coming out around Thanksgiving, so I would be happy to do a second episode.
So yeah, definitely go check out the Odyssey if you haven't done it. It's already at $650 million worldwide, and then Spider-Man: No Way Home. I think you can stream that on Disney Plus, I believe.
I went through an absolute comedy, just Showtime this past week. So stop me if you want me to talk about anything.
I got one more thing. I'm sorry. If you want to do yours, we can go back to me if you want.
Go ahead.
The Invite, Seth Rogen, Olivia Wilde movie. Dude, I loved it. I'd give it 4 out of 10. Two great performances with Olivia Wilde and Seth Rogen. Penelope Cruz and Edward Norton were also great. The script was really good. The thematic themes of marriage was excellent. It was like I kind of figured out with the trailer what the invite was, but I think at the end of the day, that's not the point of the movie. And I thought it had a lot of heartfelt messages to it.
So I'll just rapid fire through mine because I have quite a bit. Besides the invite, Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, Superbad, Marked by Sophia, The Housemaid, Semi-Pro, Talladega Nights, Anchorman 1 and 2, Adventures in Babysitting, The Sitter, Blades of Glory, The Breakup, Beetlejuice, Obsession, The Amazing Spider-Man, Iron Man, and The Deer Hunter for today's episode.
How was your rewatch of Obsession?
Dude, Obsession was really good the second time around. My daughter wanted to watch it, so we sat down and we watched it. I think that movie goes so smooth in and out. Just, it's not long. It's very well paced. The jump scares are just perfect. The performances, for you not knowing an absolute soul in that movie, the performances are very good. I still think it's the best movie I've seen all year.
I mean, I would slightly disagree, but I can't disagree because I mean, Obsession is, it's definitely in my top 5 for sure, and it's gonna be with my top 3 at least as of today. it's going to be hard to beat those films moving forward. But we still have the whole rest of the year, and maybe there'll be a lot more surprises like Obsession.
Hopefully, if you guys want to send out a shout out of what you've watched this week, or send us some recent watches or recommendations, go ahead and hit us up on the social media pages. We do have a big time school back bash giveaway that we got coming up. You can win $40 in San Marcos gift certificates, movie posters, and 2 tickets to go see any movie of your choice. So just keep an eye on the socials for the instructions on how to win that. That should be coming up here real soon when everybody starts going back to school. So, but until then, guys, it is time. Warfare month, war movie month is coming to an end. Unfortunately, here it's the last episode of July, and we are talking our top 5 favorite war movies. All right, guys, so let's dig in. Let's talk our top 5 favorite war movies. Again, this is the last top 5, guys, until we dedicate an entire episode to the top 5, which should be sometime later this year with either top 5 favorite actors or top 5 favorite directors. I'll go first. I'll go off. Zach, do you have any honorable mentions?
I got 2. I got Black Hawk Down, and one that I like. I haven't watched since we did the episode for our Memorial Day episode, but Apocalypse Now.
I have 3. I'm going to go with Hacksaw Ridge, today's episode, and The Deer Hunter, in 1917.
Nice.
Number 5. I'll start off with number 5 real quick. Then it was a rewatch from this past month, and I'm going to go Jarhead. Jamie Foxx, Jake Gyllenhaal. I think that movie is so underrated, and it doesn't get talked enough quite like some of the others does. And you really don't spend that much time with anybody else other than Jake Gyllenhaal, maybe some other people. But I think the movie is good. I don't know what else to say. I don't think we've done an episode on it, but I think it would be a very, very good conversation. I don't know how else to put it, but Jake Gyllenhaal, Jamie Foxx, they really do and go out of their way to make that movie look and feel really good. A bunch of other good cameos in there as well.
Isn't Chris Cooper in that?
Chris Cooper is one of them.
Yeah.
We just talked Chris Cooper a few weeks ago with the Patriots. So, yeah, man, I think not Hacksaw Ridge, Jarhead is very deserving of this list. That makes number 5 for me. So, Zach, what about you?
I'm going to go number 5, Fury, the Brad Pitt World War II tank movie, Shia LaBeouf, Logan Lerman, John Bernthal, Michael Pena. Very good, directed by David Ayer. That's kind of the film that gave him Suicide Squad. It was his follow-up to End of Watch. Very graphic, very just realistic as a war film to be on. What would have been like to be on those tanks during that time. My favorite, honestly, my favorite scene of that whole movie is not even the war sequence; it's the dinner sequence or like the breakfast when the guys come in and they tell the story about the horses and everything. I'm like, that is like superb acting all the way around in that table, and it's I don't know if it's been forgotten, but it's one that when I tell people about it, they're like, oh yeah, I remember that, and they have some good things to say about it. So yes. Number 5, Fury.
Number 4 for me, we've done an episode on it. We've talked about it numerous times, how many times it's gotten snubbed. Number 4 for me is Saving Private Ryan. Mm-hmm. Tom Hanks, Matt Damon. I don't know how much more you can say about how good Saving Private Ryan is. Dude, it's like talking about how else can you put up and talk about the GOAT? Like, there's not much more you can say about it.
No. It'll come up later on my list, so yeah.
Yeah, number 4 for me is Saving Private Ryan.
My number 4 is what your honorable mention, 1917. I still think that I haven't seen it in quite some in a little bit of time, but I think
Since we did the episode.
no, well, maybe. But I just remember that movie being just, gorgeously shot, obviously, with the gimmick of it being a one-shot film. The two performances, the war sequences, just a sense of dread on every corner of what was going to happen. I think you just watched it recently, not too long ago.
Yeah.
And I think you said it still had the same feels of when we talked about it. Yeah, man, I think outside of, maybe All Quiet on the Western Front, I think it's like the quintessential World War I movie.
Are you talking Netflix, All Quiet on the Western Front, or the original?
The Netflix one, not the original. That's a whole nother episode talk.
Number 3 for me is going to be, I think within your honorable mention, that's going to be Apocalypse Now. Marlon Brando, Francis Ford Coppola. What else can you say about it?
That's another goat.
Yeah. Fight of the Valkyries, that song. It's just, it's hard to put some of these movies in perspective because of how great they really are. And I'll always remember Apocalypse Now being a movie that's just very uneasy and unsettling. It's very, very, very memorable. But the reason my next two are in the top two is there's a reason for it. So number 3 is Apocalypse Now. Zach?
Nice. My number 3 is your honorable. I guess we're just going to copy each other's honorable mentions. My number 3 is Hacksaw Ridge. Andrew Garfield, Vince Vaughn, Sam Worthington. Great war movie. The graphic nature, the battles are intense. I thought Andrew Garfield. I mean, I think Casey Affleck won Best Actor, but he was very deserving of Best Actor. That is a phenomenal performance from him. And I think it has a great, like, honest moral message to it, especially since it's based off a true story. And it's one I'd like to rewatch it. I haven't seen it in some time, and I remember the experience of seeing it in the theater was very like not deafening. That's not the right word. It's very deep, I guess you could say. So yeah, that'd be number 3 is Hacksaw Ridge.
Dude, I just watched that, and one name that comes to mind is people don't give him enough credit for. That's Vince Vaughn.
And directed by Mel Gibson, man.
Yeah. As my voice goes in and out, it's been a day, it's been a week. My voice is just really out of it today, so fighting like a summer cold.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me is going to be Platoon.
Nice.
Charlie Sheen, Johnny Depp, Willem Dafoe.
Johnny Depp's in that?
Yeah. Willem Dafoe. I believe it's directed by Oliver Stone. It is just absolutely what you want a war movie to be. Graphic, drama, hardship until the very end, cinematic, memorable scenes. It's only 2 hours long, and it is just loud and in your face. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend Platoon. It won Best Picture, just like the one we're talking about today. So go check it out. It's one of my favorite war movies of all time. So definitely worth the watch. Zach, what's your number 2?
Very nice. My number 2 is going to be solely based off the theatrical experience. Another Christopher Nolan movie, Dunkirk. Loved it. I love how he was able to take a one main event and divide it up into 3 aspects of sea, land, and air. And it's the culmination of like what you want in a war movie, and just and plus everything else with great performances. The IMAX sequences were incredible. Good performances. It's just, that's definitely top tier Nolan for me in every way. And what is your number 1? Since Saving Private Ryan's not number 1, I'm curious, what is your favorite war movie?
My favorite war movie is going to be Full Metal Jacket.
Okay.
Stanley Kubrick, R.E. Remy, Matthew Modine, Vincent D'Onofrio, Adam Baldwin. I rewatched it a few weeks ago, and this is just everything that you want your war movie to be. It shows you how realistic and how brutal basic training is, and then you think it's over. Basic training was the toughest part. No, then you get to go to war. Then you get to go to Vietnam, and it follows Matthew Bodine's character as he is a journalist for the U.S. Marine Corps, and he's ruthless, and you have to be. And it just shows you, doing my research and talking with people who have been in the service and been in basic training. They're like, that's the realest any movie has been when it comes to like any kind of basic training or war fight sequences in the actual military. So, dude, I think Stanley Kubrick was one of the greatest directors of his time. You think you hear his name a lot, but you really don't nowadays. And I think he is up there with like the Coppolas, the Spielbergs. I think he would even be top one or top two. And I really wanted. I should have done Full Metal Jacket today instead of The Deer Hunter. But
we've done Full Metal Jacket, haven't we?
No.
Really? We've never done
no.
Full Metal Jacket, even when Ed was on the show. That's like one of his favorite movies.
No.
Oh wow. Okay.
But I'm glad I'm glad we're doing the Deer Hunter because there's a certain meaning behind the Deer Hunter. Mm-hmm. But if man, Full Metal Jacket is just in your face. It's everything you want your war movie to be. There's one thing all these war movies don't do, and I'm going to talk about it during the Deer Hunter. But for now, that's my number one is Full Metal Jacket. What about you, Zach?
My number one is Saving Private Ryan. I mean, nothing more to say, nothing need to say. It's up there with, you put a monument, the Mount Rushmore of war movies. That's definitely like number one, number two on a lot of people's list. And it's there's a reason for it. If you've never seen it, just go watch it. That's enough said.
All right, guys, let's get into today's today's meat and potatoes of the episode. Today we are talking all about the Deer Hunter from 1978. It had a theatrical release of February 23rd, 1979. IMDb rating of 8.1. Rotten Tomatoes is 86%. The Metascore is 90%. The Letterboxd is a 4.2 out of 5. With a $15 million budget, it grossed a little over $50 million at the box office. The lives of a group of friends are forever changed by the Vietnam War, starring Robert De Niro, Chris Walken, John Cazale, John Savage, Meryl Streep, and directed by Michael Cimino. Also written by Michael Cimino. This movie was nominated for 9 Oscars. It won 5, including Best Picture. And we'll talk about it a little bit later on, but let this simmer in your mind. This ranks 213 out of IMDb's top 250. So this is involved in our 2026 theme of the year of a movie that is in IMDb's top 250. Zach, excuse me. Do you remember the first time you watched it, or was today, or this rewatch, was this the first watch for the episode? And in just one simple word, what was it like when it was over?
This was my first time watch. Overall, I get the appeal for this movie. I get why it's very deserving of the accolades it received. I have some minor gripes with it, but I mean, overall, I think what it was trying to set out to do, it accomplished very, very well. Like I said, there's just some things about it that I'm just. No, just go ahead. That overall, I mean, I really like this. And yeah, we'll get into it. What about you?
Seen it 3 times. This is my 4th time rewatching it for the episode. I picked out something different to praise and complain every time I watch this movie. When I first watched this when I was a wee young lad, I did have an issue with the pacing. I didn't think this movie needed to be 3 hours, but after so many different watches, I appreciate the 3-hour time limit. And knowing that this is John Cazale's last movie, kind of puts everything in perspective about how his he is as an actor and what some of the characters he was playing leading into this movie and
Mhm.
what could have been if he didn't die of cancer. So let's get into The Deer Hunter. If you want to check this movie out, it's pretty old. We're at 25 minutes. Go check it out. You can rent it on Apple TV for $3.99 or YouTube TV for $4.99. So go check this out. This is The Deer Hunter. So I'm going to get into my perspective at first. I did have kind of a crummy time with this the very first time I watched it, and I wanted to see if maybe some of the same reasons why you have kind of an issue with it. Is I didn't think it needed to be 3 hours long at first when I first seen it. I'm like, what kind of war movie is this? I didn't really appreciate it. I didn't see what was in front of me when I first watched it. But overall, my official thoughts after watching this for four different times, four different parts of my life, is the director does a very good job of taking this movie and how all the other movies we just named, Saving Private Ryan, Full Metal Jacket, they show you what war is like in the thick of things, and they show you the graphic nature of a violent war movie, and they show you the action and everything that everybody wants to see in a war movie. This movie kind of takes a step back and shows you maybe what war can do to somebody, and what war can do to somebody pre, during, and post war. I don't think there's another movie like that. You can make some people out there are probably saying, what's that movie with Bradley Cooper?
American Sniper.
Some people probably say American Sniper. Yeah, that's true because that kind of shows you what somebody's like post, pre, and during war.
Mm-hmm.
But this is about a group of friends, so that's why I think this movie kind of hits different on a fourth time watch.
Yeah.
Not to mention the amazing performances from Robert De Niro, Chris Walken, Meryl Streep, and John Cazale. But I think this is just, I don't know. That's kind of what this movie means to me on those different kinds of watches. But I can see, and I think that's what you're about to get into on your first time watch. You had an issue with like pacing.
Yeah, I totally agree with your original analysis on this film. And granted, maybe if I watch it like where you're at for more times later on, I might have a different opinion about it. The pacing of this, it literally takes an hour to get to Vietnam, and before that, you have the wedding sequence, which, in my opinion, you could have cut that down to like a 10-minute scene and have a lot more time with them like hunting in the woods, just in my opinion.
But see, that's where this movie kind of takes a different approach from every other war movie that it follows and that it's preceded, is that you just get this band of brothership and this band of boyhood and brotherhood that you get before they even go to war.
Yeah.
It comes from hunting, it comes from the wedding, it comes from different aspects of their life, even of them working. You see them working in the mill together at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's just, to me, that's the long-term storytelling of the appreciation of this 3-hour film. I know the first time I watched it, I watched it all in one take. I was the same way. I was like, dude, this is considered one of the greatest war movies of all time, and it takes an hour and 11 minutes until you get to war.
And I guess let me preface this by saying I don't mind. I knew this film is not Saving Private Ryan. It's not about the war. It's about the effect that war has on people. And I totally get that on the outset because I know, you have the before, the during, and the after. And that's like literally the whole point of the film. But on the watch, you're just like, guys, it's not even so much about the war. It's just, can we just like hurry this up a little bit? Where it's not like so. The pacing of the first 45 minutes, I'm just like, oh, dude, like I don't know, man.
So the way I kind of proceeded with the film the last couple of times was, I have my three characters. They're right here on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
De Niro, if you're watching us live on Emerson Productions YouTube channel, you can see that we have the front poster up. So you have 3 hours of film. three different characters. If I broke it up this way, my first hour I got to pay attention to De Niro, Meryl Streep, and Chris Walken
Mm-hmm.
pre-war, and that's how I kind of took my approach of watching it this fourth time. Because don't get me wrong, I kind of was dreading this watch as well. It's been a busy week. It's been a hot week. I'm very irritable. There's been a lot of personal stuff going on. So this was homework for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, how can I watch it to where it's not going to feel like homework for me and I can just sit back and enjoy this film the way I want to?
Yeah.
And I broke it up. I watched 3 hours, took notes on my three characters, took a 10-minute break, got a snack, watched the war sequences, took some notes on my three actors, how is war treating them, took a 10-minute break, and then did my post. What's it like? What's life like for them, the three post-war?
Yeah.
And it was much easier that way. So instead of it being 3 hours, it was 3 hours and 20 minutes because of my breaks.
Yeah.
But I was able to take a little bit more approach to the film differently, and it didn't feel so much like homework, if that makes sense.
No, that I really thought about doing that, but like honestly, man, and I'm going to contradict what I just said. The pacing hurts and helps this movie. Like the first 45 minutes, the pacing is very slowed down. Is very, we got to establish all these characters, which makes sense with given what this movie is. But like when we hit the Vietnam stuff and really the rest of the movie, it flies by. Like you're kind of like you're invested in how these three characters are going to get out of this horrific situation in Vietnam, but also when they come back, how are they going to assimilate back into their original life?
And see, when De Niro, gets his all of his flowers and he gets to go home, you're already at 2 hours and 15 minutes. So you're like, oh man, there's 45 minutes left. I wonder what the rest of the movie could be about. You're kind of just like drawn to that conclusion, like, okay, did he survive? Is he really the survivor? Mm-hmm. And by the time the movie is over, none of these three characters are survivors, if that makes any sense. They're still, to me, they are all three very, very trapped in this Vietnam War, and it's going to take a whole hell of a lot of issues and therapy for them to get out. I don't want to spoil, but we're 30 minutes in the episode. But Chris Walken, he doesn't get to escape. He dies right there in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Some people might say that was his choice. He wanted to stay there. He wanted to die in Vietnam. He felt like he had a choice, but ultimately, that's why Robert De Niro went back. Is like he knows where he is mentally. Is that he's staying there and he wants to die in Vietnam.
Yeah, and it's such a. And again, spoiler for almost a 50-year-old movie. It is what it is. The ending of the movie is such a heartbreak because you see in our if you're watching us live in the bottom, I guess left-hand corner is the infamous poster of De Niro with the gun to his head playing the Russian roulette, and I'll talk about that here in a second. Actually, I didn't really know how this movie was going to end until we got to that scene with the final roulette of De Niro versus Walken. And I was like, initially I thought De Niro's going to die, Mike's going to die, and Nick is going to regret that the rest of his life. Like it's just going to snap him out of it. But I was not expecting the other way around. And it's such a heartbreak when he's just like cradling his body, just wishing him to come back. Because I guess I had to go back and look at like the Wikipedia summary of the movie. I totally forgot about the promise that they made with each other. It's like, hey, don't leave me behind. And ultimately, unfortunately, that's what happens.
And I'm glad you brought that up. We can talk about it because that was one of the, I'm not going to say joy, but that's one of the precious moments of watching this movie for the first time is Russian roulette is already a dangerous game, but when they go into Vietnam and they end the movie that way, you're kind of just like stuck on that. No, something's going to malfunction. They're both going to walk away from this. But I also thought when my first time watching this deck, I thought it was going to be like a Romeo and Juliet situation where one person would die and the other one's like, how can I let that happen? And the other person takes their life.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to end like that, but watching it for the first time, granted, give or take the first 45 minutes to an hour is not for everybody, but in order to get to that mainstay of how powerful war is, you have to understand the brothership. So the first 45 minutes, give or take, is, may not be everybody's cup of tea. But once you get into war and the thick of things of the deer hunter and then the brothership after war, you're just like, what could he have done different, if at all, to save uh, Nick's character?
Yeah. And I guess I just dozed off, or I wasn't paying attention because it just kind of maybe them getting out of the not concentration camp, the war camp, when they're in the hospital and everything, and Nick kind of stumbles. I guess he meets the French guy and he lures him into that. Is that
Yeah.
how is that what happens?
Yeah, almost like an underground business that he sees he can stay and survive and maybe make a living off of.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, really, Nick didn't have a life to go back to.
He had Meryl Streep, but not really, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That was more of a let Michael dig out and see what he can go find back home.
Yeah.
So, and I want to talk about Stan, John Cazale's character, who we all know him from The Godfather, playing the older brother of Al Pacino. He, to me, was phenomenal in this. He's not somebody who I didn't believe I'd ever be talking about him in this kind of light beyond The Godfather.
Mm-hmm.
But he's somebody who, dude, back in the day in the 70s, whenever he was in something, he was top tier actor of his time. And it's just kind of sad that, life took him so young at just 42. He actually died after The Deer Hunter, right after he got done filming The Deer Hunter. He died in 1978. So, he didn't even get to see this movie become what it is in theaters.
No.
And let's talk about the young Meryl Streep. What do you think of her character as she played Linda in this movie?
Obviously Meryl Streep is great. She was actually a very beautiful woman. I was kind of shocked at how pretty she was back in the day. I couldn't decide if she was playing both parties, because there are scenes like at the wedding where they like her and Mike lock eyes, and it's just like, are they into each other? Are they having a thing on the side? But at the end, before they go off to Vietnam, you can tell that she's dedicated to Nick, but it's kind of this back and forth. But obviously it does develop when Mike comes back home.
And Nick gets left behind.
Yeah. So, dude, I will say, like, the brutality of this, like, I've always thought this movie, especially with the gun to the head poster, I've always thought this movie was rated X. I thought there was a lot of sex in this movie. I thought there was like a lot of brutality in this movie, but it's not even the war brutality. It's just the brutality of the effect war has on people, which I thought was really shocking, because at the end of the day, this is just about three people who, you start off with three guys who is so anxious to join the war effort. They experience war, and they become the Green Beret that they meet in that bar, essentially. At least De Niro does.
Yeah, De Niro comes back, and you see how hard it is for him to get back up on the saddle, have a drink, have a relationship. You see how hard it is for him to get back up on the saddle and go to work. And it's just like he survived war, but he didn't.
Yeah. It's the perfect example of that is the before and after of when they go hunting. Like, he just wants to go and kill the deer, and the one shot rule. And then when he comes back and he goes, drinking with his buddies and goes on another trip, he can't do it. And that's just a class. I've heard of so many examples of pre-soldiers and soldiers after, of, they love to go hunt, but then after they go to war, they can't do it. It's just like something just switches in their head about it. Even though they're not killing a human, they're just, they're taking a life, but not a human life. It's just, the use of violence and guns is so repulsive, I guess you could say.
Let's talk about this. This one, Best Picture, Best Actor in Supporting Role, Chris Walken, Best Director, Best Sound, Best Film Editing, and then De Niro was nominated for Best Actor. Meryl Streep was nominated for Best Actress, nominated for Best Writing, and nominated for Best Cinematography.
Yeah.
What do you think of those wins there? 5 out of 9, the big ones being Walken and Best Picture.
It's deserving of Best Picture because I had the list right here. Because I was curious. I always got to see what was nominated.
Let's see what was nominated.
None of these movies you've ever heard of. The Deer Hunter won. It was nominated against Coming Home, Heaven Can Wait, Midnight Express, and An Unmarried Woman. Those are the 4 movies I've never even heard of. And we do a movie podcast. So I think it was definitely the right choice for this to win. And Christopher Walken, in my opinion, I know De Niro has a lot more chunk of the movie. I think Walken steals it. There are just so many scenes where I'm just like, man, I really forgot how good of an actor he is.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the one that this is the chopping block for him, dude. This is what put him on the map. And it's crazy, man. I sit here and I think about some of these 70 movies, and you got De Niro in 1 year, or in one less than a decade, puts out The Godfather 2 and The Deer Hunter. John Cazale in less than 5 years puts out Godfather 1, Godfather 2, The Deer Hunter. This is also the movie that put Meryl Streep on the map. Yep. And it's just like,
and Walken on the map.
Yeah, almost a 50-year-old movie. And it's like, guess how many people have never seen it?
Yeah, I'm a clear example of that. And I've seen a bazillion different films, but this is one I think still, if we hadn't done it for the show, I still probably wouldn't have watched it. Maybe since we're doing the classic movie thing, I might have, changed my mind about it.
This is one of those movies, again, I got into my weird obsession of when I went on the rampage of I'm going to buy up every movie that won Best Picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
I started that trend in 2007, and I probably bought this movie in, what year was it when Universal did their 100th anniversary special select movies?
I think that was 2012, I think.
So that's when I bought this. I bought this in 2012, 2013, watched it for the first time, and I've watched it 4 times since then. And yeah, look, if you see, this is one of those movies that they put out, you could open it up and it would tell you about the 100 greatest movies in Universal history. And this is how I found out about The Deer Hunter, when I got into my obsession about Best Pictures.
Yeah, I think mine, I got this copy from the library, and I think it has the 100 years of Universal Academy Award winners. There's not a lot of special features on it. There's just deleted and extended scenes and a feature commentary by the cinematography and film journalist and a theatrical trailer. So I'm surprised we haven't got a revamped 4K of this yet.
Well, there is.
Do they have any new special features on it?
No new special features. You see the Deer Hunter picture that I used that's across from the Cash App logo?
Yeah.
That's what the 4K cover looks like. And still no huge extended features. This comes with the Blu-ray and the DVD. I even popped in the DVD, and there's no special features on the DVD either.
Is it not even the delete? It's just the movie by itself.
The commentary is on there. So the extended and deleted scenes, those are new. That's a new for the Blu-ray.
Interesting.
I did watch this twice today. I watched the movie itself. And then I did start my my director commentary, or my commentary on the movie, and I watched that right after.
What they say about it on the movie? What they say about it on the director's commentary? Dude,
the cinematographer is the one who does the commentary, and he just praises De Niro because it's the first time they worked together, and he was like, "Oh, I saw him." He's got an accent. He was like, I saw De Niro on The Godfather Part 2, and I just wanted to meet and work with him ever since. and he was like the nicest guy that the cinematographer had ever met, and they actually spent a lot of time together when they were filming this movie. So the cinematographer and Robert De Niro would go around, have lunch together, have dinner together, talk different cinematography pieces, and he had a lot to say, dude. It was a really good special feature commentary, and this is a little preview from our physical media conversation in a few weeks, but I think I'm going to start doing that. Like, I'm going to go through some of the movies that I love, and I've seen them half a dozen times. Now I'm going to just start listening to the commentary. I can't believe you guys look at this behind me. I have thousands upon thousands of movies.
Yeah.
And I've never taken the time to sit down and listen to the commentary on any of these movies. So I think it's a new trend for me.
And I would argue that maybe 85% of those Blu-rays you have behind you have commentaries on them.
Yeah. So that's something I'm going to get into because I love listening to podcasts. I love listening to commentary. So why not put both of my loves together? But I think I'm going to start doing that. I think that's something I'm going to take from being a physical media collector and just start listening to some soundtracks.
Yeah. No, man. And there are some people that do it really well. Like I texted you off air, Matt Reeves, who directed the Batman and Cloverfield and Let Me In, I think. He does a really good commentary. He goes pretty in detail about the filmmaking process.
Nice.
Oh, something else I wanted to ask you about was I really liked how we opened the movie with the steel mill. And I thought the metaphor of that, like, I don't know if maybe I'm reading too much into it, but the metaphor of like, you are in hell, that's your daily life, but then you're going to go to a real hell that is literally going to have effect on you permanently. I thought that was kind of an interesting side-by-side comparison to that.
That's a perfect way of putting it, and I'll tell you why. How many of us today, Zach, we were still complaining just a few minutes ago about how the weather here is tremendous and we wish we were somewhere else. Well, guess what? There's a lot of other places we could be that we wish we probably aren't there, which is like, let's say Kuwait, let's say Desert Storm, let's say in the Middle East, we could be fighting a war. We could be in the heat like that, really. But that's just like how you say in the movie, it opens up in the steel mill, how they think they're in that Hades, right?
Yeah.
But in all reality, in just a few short years, when they go to war, that's where now they're like, oh, I wish I was back I'd give anything to be back at the steel mill.
Yeah. And even like when Mike goes back to the steel mill, you can just automatically tell that he has a hard time of like fitting in. I think, and granted, take this with a grain of salt. I've never been to war. I've never known that experience. I never want to know that experience. But I think there's a part of you that literally has to die to survive, and you lose a part of you, and you don't really know how to get that back, or if ever you get that back.
You come back a different person.
Yeah. There's another movie. I wanted to bring this up. I didn't get to finish this. Because it's 3 hours long. It's called The Best Years of Our Lives. This is a Best Picture winner as well. This is about 3 World War II survivors that try to go back home and assimilate and try to get back to their normal life. I was very curious about the comparisons and contrasts with these two films. I think they both do a good job of showing the struggle of veterans of going back to normal citizen life, but I think The Deer Hunter is a. It's hard for me to say this because I haven't finished this movie, but based off what I've seen so far, I think The Deer Hunter does a little bit better job about it.
I have The Best Years of Our Lives. that's 3 hours too.
Yeah, I think it's like 2 hours. No, I think it is 3 hours. Let me look it up real quick. 2 hours and 52. So it's 2 hours and 52 minutes. It's the length of the Odyssey. So
yeah. I think that's another thing. I'm excited for this new journey about just diving down classic lane. We'll get to talk more movies like The Deer Hunter. Um, it's hard to believe that this movie is almost 50.
Yeah. Do you
Um,
think I want do you what do you think about De Niro's career? Because obviously, we talked about two of his biggest movies this year with Raging Bull and oh god. Um Taxi Driver.
Godfather Part 2.
Oh, and Godfather Part 2. Um is it weird to see De Niro do, Meet the Fockers and Hide and Seek and all these
No,
movies? They're just like, what?
maybe some of the movies that have came out in the last 5 years, like War with Grandpa or something like that. But
Yeah.
you gotta look at it. We didn't get to see Marlon Brando. He did comedies as well. Don't forget he did The Freshman with Matthew Broderick. I
Hmm.
think I think De Niro is just living longer than some of these living legends or some of these past legends that were up there as far as great actors go.
Yeah,
So so
I
so,
agree.
so De Niro is just getting older, while a lot of them died young or died in their 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
You
He
know,
does have this. He does have this new. Have you seen this new Netflix horror thriller that's coming out, The Whisper Man?
I have. I heard. I've
It looks
seen.
pretty cool.
Yeah. So I think De Niro is taking movies with a grain of salt. He doesn't take himself too serious. He knows what he's done in the past is great, but he's not holding that against anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he did the movie that's exclusive to HBO Max where he played the two twins.
Oh, the Alto Kings. Oh, Alto
Yeah,
Knights. Yeah.
yeah. And
That came out this year, actually.
some people say that was a bad movie, but I mean, De Niro's performance is one of the greatest things that you'll say about that movie.
Yeah.
Like like
Yeah.
like the movie could have been a two-star movie, but guess what? Those two stars came from De Niro.
Quite literally.
Yeah. So I think I think he knows where he's at in his career. He's not taking himself too serious. He still wants to work, which is a good thing. Um, and I don't think he's tarnished any kind of legacy. That answers your question.
No. No. I mean, it.
Who knows what we could have seen Marlon Brandon do if he survived and lived another 30 years?
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
that's true. But I think
So,
he was like 70 when he died. So, but he had
but he was
at that point.
he was also one of those actors though that really did take himself a little too serious.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he was.
so I mean, same. It's kind of hard to say, but you could say the same thing about Daniel Day Lewis. Oh, he really just does what he thinks is going to win Best Pictures. You say that, and then he has a movie that came out a few years ago that he came out of retirement for that stunk it up.
Yeah, that's true. Did you see his
So
new movie, Ashmore, whatever it is?
that's the one that stunk it up, right? A few years ago.
No, well, I think, or
Because
did it come out?
for the longest time after Lincoln, he was like, "I'm retired. I'm done. I'm never coming back out of retirement." But then he
Yeah,
came out of retirement and did some movie that nobody watched or liked.
yeah, and his son directed it, so
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Um, so I say more power to De Niro if he wants to do some stuff to make us laugh. There's a new Meet the Parents movie that comes out in November that looks hilarious. More power to him. Uh, he could always make us laugh or make terrible movies, but what he did in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, nobody can ever take away from him.
No, yeah,
So,
and
favorite.
I mean, sometimes it's um. Oh God, what was I going to say? Sometimes, I mean, you've done such great work that you're allowed to do whatever you want at some point.
Yeah. Favorite scene for The Deer Hunter. I'll go first. I'm going to probably say uh, the scene right when De Niro gets it, right the first scene where you see him get into war and he sees the suicide bomber throw the bomb and attack the family that's hiding out in the bunker, and then
Hmm.
he the flamethrower and kills the dude with the flamethrower. That was a pretty cool scene. Um, the scene where De Niro comes back and gets back into life and tries to live again. Takes Meryl Streep to a hotel and she just realizes she sees how tired he is. He just falls asleep.
Yeah,
Um, and then you know what? The ultimate scene at the end where he tries to save Nick and he can't do it, man. And it's just such a sad ending. What about
yeah.
you?
Um, I mean, the one last shot roulette is, just horrifically terrible. Um, the promises that Mike and Nick make before they go off to war is heartfelt. Um, and then probably Nick returning home. He literally dodges his homecoming party. He just wants to be by himself, and him just trying to get back to some quote unquote normalcy. Um, and do you think by the end of the movie, you think he's achieved that?
No, I'd want to say he achieves it, but I think whatever little left he had when he went back to save Nick and he saw Nick do that in front of his own eyes, I think he lost whatever he had.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think? I couldn't really figure out the symbolism of when they're all after the funeral. They're like sitting at the table and they sing "God Bless America." What do you think the symbolism of that is?
Made me think of the final dinner scene with Michael at The Godfather.
Yeah.
But I think the last, I don't want to get too biblical, but it could almost have been like a Last Supper kind of ritual for Michael.
Yeah.
We don't know what kind of mental state Michael was in with that Last Supper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we don't know where he is or where he went after that dinner. But I think it's a light at the end of the tunnel because I think that dinner was some kind of symbolism of hope of trying to get back to a normal life. So yeah, I think that last dinner is a symbol of hope.
Yeah, I agree.
Star rating for The Deer Hunter 1978, 1 out of 5. You know what? This isn't going to be a movie that I choose every time I want to see a war movie. It is lengthy. It is girthy. 3 hours and 5 minutes. But I'm still going to give this movie a 4, just because of the way that I can break it up and kind of watch it section by section. I'm going to give it a 4. I really had to argue and debate myself this week if I wanted to give this a 4 or 3.5. But I think at the end of the day, after having this conversation with you, I'm going to give it a 4.
I'm right there with you, man, all for the same reasons. I mean, I think this is deserved of Best Picture, obviously, out of the choices that were that year. But what we always say on the show, rewatchability, it's not one that I'm clawing back to go watch for, not, if ever, honestly. I'm glad I got to mark it off my Best Picture list. But I understand its relevancy and its depiction of war veterans is very accurate. But my top 5 war movies, I'd rather watch those again than do this again.
So what'd you give it? You didn't say what you gave it.
A 4. I gave it a 4. Okay. Yeah. I couldn't really give it a 3.5 because it's like the things I like about it, I really, really like, and it really, heightened the grade in my opinion.
Next week we're gonna do the best years of our lives. Then no,
there you go. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're talking next week. Our combat and warfare month is done, which is hard to believe, really, because we're already going into August. I think next week we're talking about a little independent movie called Spider-Man. Am I wrong in saying that?
We're talking Spider-Man, Brand New Day. The weekend box office estimates that it's going to go around $346 million at the box office domestically. That's not talking globally. So we'll see. I think next week should be fun. Is a Spider-Man movie? Should it really be 2.5 hours? We're going to debate that next week as well. But I'm hoping it's going to be fun, and I'm hoping we're on the right path to Doomsday. So I'm hoping that helps some. Let's remember, guys, the last movie before Infinity War was not the greatest, or before Endgame.
Yeah,
that's true. So let's take this to let's take it with a grain of salt. Let's go to the movies. Let's have a good time. Let's enjoy a Spider-Man film without thinking about Doomsday, because that's where the trap falls. That's where we're gonna stub our toes, and that's where we're gonna make the mistake. So enjoy the Spider-Man film and don't think about Doomsday.
Yes, because if you go in thinking about Doomsday and it has no connection to Doomsday, I think you're going to be disappointed.
A lot of people thought the same way with what's the Spider-Man movie with Jake Gyllenhaal, because it happened right after right after Endgame.
Oh, Far From Home.
Yeah,
And
a lot of
everyone
people.
thought, people were excited about Captain Marvel, and it had literally nothing to do with Endgame before it came out.
Yeah, so let's take it for the grain of salt. Let's go watch Spider-Man: Brand New Day, and let's have fun with Toby. I mean, Tom Holland, and let's enjoy that. But
he's just missing Tobey Maguire right now.
I just spoiled the whole thing.
Right. So, what else have we got for the month of August?
That's another thing. Before we get going, do not get strung up because the last Spider-Man movie you saw was a multiverse Spider-Man. So let's not get wrapped up in that either, because you're just what I mean, Zach?
Yeah. I totally get what you mean, man. It's I'm rewatching No Way Home right now just so I can remember exactly where we are in this new one. So we'll find out. I'm excited for it. I kind of agree. I don't think this needs to be 2.5 hours, but maybe there's a point to it, and we'll find out, and we'll talk about it next week.
So next week, week 1, we're talking Spider-Man: Brand New Day. Week 2 of August, we're talking the importance of physical media, part 2. Week 3, we're talking Project Hail Mary. And then we end August and we end summer with Boys in the Hood. I think it's going to be a very fun, entertaining, diverse August of 2026 before we get into fall and before we get into A24 month in September.
Yeah, here for the ride, man.
So, enjoy this week. I hope you guys enjoyed us talking about the Deer Hunter. Go find a way to check that out, whether it be your local library or rent it on streaming services. But until then, next week, we'll see you next week as we talk Spider-Man: Brand New Day on another new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
Stay cool.
Huck 'em, 40 days till Texas football.